Welcome to Amplifying Leadership and Tip Thursday with Tara, your weekly dose of practical leadership tips and strategy you can apply immediately with your team or your work. I am Tara Lehman, founder and CEO of Amplifying Leadership. Each week, I'll share insights and takeaways designed to help you build, enhance, and grow your leadership skills. It's actionable guidance you can use right away. Visit us anytime at amplifyingleadership.ca. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tip Thursday with Tara. As I mentioned last week, this month we're talking about delegation and empowerment, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper today. Most leaders understand the basics of delegation. We know that we need to communicate expectations, assign responsibilities, and of course, the follow-up. But even though we know those things, I find many leaders I speak with find themselves frustrated because work's incomplete or employees are always asking questions or wanting validation. Being honest, most people do end up feeling like it would just be easier to do the work themselves. I'm sure you've heard yourself say, just give it to me, I'll handle it. So today I want to share 3 less known ways to delegate that help build both that clarity and the trust with your team so that you can give more to them. So the first one is to delegate the outcome. Don't just focus on delegating a task. So one of the most common delegation mistakes I see is assigning activities, but not sharing what the outcome is. So for example, you might say, please create a report. That's a task. But to the employee, what is the purpose of their report? Who is it for? What decision will it help someone make? What does success look like? So instead of saying, please create that report, maybe you consider saying something like, I need you to create a report that helps us identify our top customer service issues so we can reduce customer complaints within the next quarter. Now the employee that you're giving this to understands the bigger picture or the why behind it. When employees understand the outcome, they can make better decisions along the way without constantly checking back with you because they know what the outcome is. And they're not simply completing steps, but they know they're contributing to a result. So when they understand the result that you're trying to achieve here, they may surprise you with ideas or approaches that, hey, maybe you've never considered before, but maybe are better than your idea. So the second thing I want to suggest is to define decision boundaries up front when you're assigning the task or when you're delegating work. So one reason employees repeatedly come back to leaders is because they're unsure what authority they even have to make any decisions. They don't want to make a mistake, or they maybe don't want to overstep. So instead, they play it safe. So you probably have this happen. They come to you over and over and over, and now you're the bottleneck. So a simple strategy here is to define whatever decision boundaries they have before that work begins. So, for example, it might be you can handle everything under this budget amount on your own, no decision needed by me. Or make the decision unless it affects another department. So we're being very clear about what that boundary is. It may be even something like bring me in only if there's a customer complaint or there's a significant risk. And if they're not sure what significant risk is, you may want to further define that. Employees now know where they can operate independently and where they have their own authority to make decisions. And we're not leaving them to guess, oh, this is, $500. Can I do it? Can I not? But maybe you said anything under 1,000 is okay. That creates confidence in our employees as well. So we often assume employees know what decisions they can make, but in reality, employees are often going to appreciate the clarity with that work that you give them because it removes any uncertainty or fear. And when uncertainty disappears, the ownership tends to increase because we're not fearful of doing something wrong. And the third thing I want to talk to you today about is scheduling some checkpoints instead of continuous constant check-ins. And this one is really big. A lot of leaders unintentionally create dependency on them because they're available every minute. So the employee asks a question, the leader answers. 5 minutes later, the employee asks another question, and the leader answers again, and it's immediate. So, what we're teaching our employees is that every decision needs to flow through the leader, but maybe it doesn't. So, what we want to do is have set checkpoints so that they know they can work on their own. So, for example, it might be, let's connect Wednesday afternoon to review your progress, or give me an update once you've completed the first draft. Now, everybody knows when feedback and or support is going to happen. So the employee now has space to think and process and work, problem solve and make decisions because you've given them boundaries. And the leader, guess what you get back? You get back some great time to focus on higher value work. It doesn't mean that you're disappearing when you're not checking in, by the way. It just means that we're creating a structure that encourages them to own whatever we provided to them instead of constant reliance on us. Some of the best leadership growth happens when people have room to work through challenges themselves before immediately seeking an answer from their leader. And it also allows employees to grow and learn, and then you can give them more work later. When delegation isn't working, many leaders assume that they have the wrong people working for them. And you know what? Occasionally that might be true. But a lot of the times it's really just because the expectations or what the boundaries are or that trust was really never clearly established for them. So I want to leave you with this for this week. I encourage you really to look at one responsibility that you've delegated recently to someone and just simply ask yourself, did I explain the result or the outcome or the why? Did I define whatever decision-making boundaries they have? Did I create checkpoints instead of a constant check-in? If you did answer yes to these, you could meet with that employee and just, let them know, okay, so this task, I want to just explain it a little bit more and what kind of decision making you can use without coming to me. Remember this, that delegation isn't about getting the work off your plate. It's more about developing the people, building confidence that they have, that they can do things without always coming to you, and creating a team that can move forward because the trust has been built, which means, again, you get to work on strategic work with that time you just found. And of course, we all want that. So thank you for joining me for this week's Tip Thursday with Tara around delegation. I hope this has been helpful. I'll talk to you next week. Thanks, everybody. That's your Tip Thursday with Tara for this week. If you are looking to clarify leadership priorities, build strong teams, or empower those around you, I'm here to help. Explore our programs, coaching, and more at amplifyingleadership.ca, because leadership is better when we do it together.